Section 9.8 has to do with sines, cosines, and tangents. This is just a little intro to trigonometry. Trigonometry is the study of the properties of triangles. It's specifically how the sides and the angles are related. And some of this stuff you're going to have to just memorize. There's a term that's called a sine, and that means that I'm taking the opposite measure over the hypotenuse. And I'm going to give you a for instance here. Now in this triangle, and this is you're always using right triangles here. Let's say I'm standing right here at C. You're never going to be standing at the right angle, so you could be standing at either of the acute angles. And if I'm standing here, the opposite measure, and this side opposite angle C is little c, the side opposite angle B is little b, and the side opposite angle A is little a. So if I were to ask you for the sine, and the symbol is an angle right here, the sine of angle C, then the opposite would be little c, and the hypotenuse would be little b, because the hypotenuse is always the side that is opposite the right angle. Okay, the abbreviation for sine is SIN. You've probably seen that on a calculator. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So again, if you are standing right here, the cosine, the abbreviation is COS, the cosine of angle C is equal to the adjacent side, which would be A, over the hypotenuse, which will be B. So you don't, the hypotenuse never changes, but what side is opposite and what side is adjacent is based on where you're standing. This is going to tell you where you're standing. So if they're asking you for the sine of angle C, you're standing right here. If they were to ask you for the sine of angle A, you would be standing up there. The tangent, or abbreviation TAN, is equal to opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of angle C, remember you're standing there, this would be the opposite side, not the side that's right next to you, would be C. The adjacent side would be A. Again, remember B here is always your hypotenuse. So let's say you run around and now you're standing right up here at A. So if I wanted to know the sine of angle A, I'm standing there. The opposite side is little a, but again, the hypotenuse in this particular triangle is always B. So then if I asked you for the cosine of angle A, you're standing here. It's adjacent over hypotenuse, so it's C over B. And then if I asked you for the tangent of angle A, I'm standing here, so it's opposite over adjacent, so it's A over C. So let's put some numbers with us. It says find the trigonometric ratios, and you're going to be standing at P. So I'm going to put a little figurine there. So the sine at angle P, I'm looking for opposite. Now here, the hypotenuse is 25 because it's the side opposite the right angle. If I'm standing here, the opposite side is 7. So it's all about location. So opposite over hypotenuse, so 7 over 25. The cosine at angle P is adjacent, so 25 or 24 over 25 because the hypotenuse is 25. And then the tangent at angle P would be opposite over adjacent. So it's 7 over 24. If it's possible to reduce those down, you must reduce them down. Let's do another one. This one, you're standing here at A, and it asks you for the sine of angle A. So remember, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle. So this one is 6 over 10, but you have to reduce it down by dividing the top and the bottom by 2. So you have a 3 over 5. The cosine at angle A, adjacent over hypotenuse, so it's 8 over 10. Divide them both by 2, so you get a 4 over 5. And then the tangent of angle A is opposite over adjacent, which is 6 over 8. Divide them both by 2, so you get a 3 over 4. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, sometimes you have to use a calculator. They don't give you any angles. They don't give you any measurements. So, and they tell you to round it to the nearest 10th thousand. So that's 4 places after the decimal. Now, I'm reminding you on how to do that. So if I had a value of like 0.48627, I go 4 places, I look to the number to the right of it. If it's 5 or above, I add another number to the number right in front of it. So that becomes 0.4863. If what you have is below 5, then you just mark it off and write the first 4 numbers. Okay, so you're going to pick up your calculator. You would need a scientific calculator or a graphing calculator to do this. And so you have, and a phone will do it if you turn the calculator sideways with your phone. So I go the sine, and then I put in 42, and it's going to give me 0.669, and then I round it off to 1. Cosine, I press the cosine button of 65, and it's going to give me 0.4226. Tangent, I press the tangent button of 78, and it's going to give me 4.7046, and again, it doesn't round up. Let me keep going on these. Sine of 19, 0.3, now this one rounds up, 0.325, and then it would become a 6 right there. Make sure you can do this on a calculator. 0.6293. And I would suggest you take a calculator and make sure you're getting the same values that I'm getting here. So that's just strictly calculator use. Then the other thing that they do is you use the trig ratios to solve for unknown parts of a triangle. So you'll notice that the triangle right there it has an X. I don't know what it is. I know this angle, so I'm going to stand right here at the angle that I know. So I'll put my little figurine right here so you'll know where I'm standing. So if I'm standing here, what I'm trying to find is opposite, and I know the value of the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse, if you remember, is the sine. So the sine of angle C would equal opposite over hypotenuse. Now let's put our values in there. So the sine, I know what angle C is. It's 36 degrees, is equal to x over the value of the hypotenuse, which is 21. So I'm going to solve for the x. If you want to, you can put the variable on the left-hand side. So you're just switching sides. Now, this has a value for it. So the unknown is right here. So what I want to do is I want to multiply both sides by 21. And I'm going to get x is equal to, now if I put it in my calculator, I would put the 21 first times the sine of 36. Now you have to have a calculator to do this, so it's going to give me, and it says round to the nearest tenth, so it's 12.3. All right, let's do another one. It says find the value of x. I know 71, so I'm going to be standing at that angle. Notice if I'm standing there, I have adjacent, and I want to know hypotenuse. So that is the cosine of 71 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Now this one's a little different because the x is on the bottom, and I can't solve for an x being on the bottom. I will switch sides here, but the first thing that I have to do is I have to multiply to get the x off the bottom. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x, and I'm going to get 12 equals the cosine of 71 degrees times x. Well, now my x is on the other side, so I'll switch it again. Notice that I'm trying to get this by itself, but I'm multiplying by the cosine of 71. So to get rid of the cosine of 71, I'm going to have to divide by it. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I'm left with an x. Then I pick up my calculator and I go 12 divided by the cosine of 71, and it's going to give me 36.9. All right, your homework on this is page 480, 13 through 32 all.